just days after a Russian attack in the Ukrainian city of Sumy killed 35 people and injured 117 others. Donald Trump has blamed Volodymyr Zelensky for starting the war with Russia. The comments follow widespread outrage over the attack on Sunday, which was the deadliest Russian attack on civilians this year. The US president said of the Ukraine president, "You don't start a war against someone 20 times your size and then hope that people give you some missiles."
He's always looking to purchase missiles, He's against, listen, when you start a war, you got to know that you can win the war, right? You don't start a war against somebody that's 20 times your size and then hope that people give you some missiles.
Trump there speaking just yesterday. Let's talk to Victoria Vdovichenko, Programme Director for Security Studies at the Ukraine Center for Defense Strategies. Before we even talk about the way that Donald Trump is referring to Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, just help us to understand how important these Patriot air defense systems, these missiles are.
Indeed, so that's the first important understanding that these kind of the air defense system not only are used for the protection of the civilians, but at present, this is the component of the American assistance that cannot be replaced for a moment by the European allies and partners. So therefore, President Zelensky was proposing actually to purchase 10 Patriot systems. It's a minimum quantity because we definitely need much more from the United States with Ukrainian money and the help of the European partners. Let's say funds in a particular sense. So therefore, the questions that was rejected by the President Trump and saying that Volodymyr Zelensky started the war was very much, of course, sad, but at the same time, unimaginable pain caused for Ukrainian civilian and Ukrainian, specifically from Sumy region. It's very hard for them to explain this kind of the rhetoric that's being presented here. However, it's very also important to understand that not only the Patriot system is something though we have to talk about, because currently Russian Federation is launching so-called combination attacks, something that happened this morning, for example, in Zaporizhia and the surrounding regions, when the FPV or first-person view drones were being very much used. We definitely understand as the experts, so with the future of whatever warfare we are talking about is not only in the acquiring of the Patriot air defense system that we definitely need now for the protection of, let's say, not only critical infrastructure, but mostly the largest city with this big civilian population. But at the same time, the production of our defense systems, in particular, when we're talking about the drones, and that's something that Ukraine is still not only advocating, but still already presenting the progress and advancement for other of the European partners. So it's very important in understanding that once we are talking about, let's say, diplomatic, let's say, referring to Mr. Witkov, diplomatic affairs with the Russian Federation, still, unfortunately, Ukrainian people are dying. And it's nothing about the diplomacy in all when we're talking about the protection of the civilians, which is under the violation of international humanitarian law for a moment.
Victoria, we have to leave it there, but we hear you loud and clear. Victoria Vdovichenko from the Ukraine Center for Defense Strategies organization. Thank you so much joining us live from Kyiv. Thank you.